9.
THD03.
T.
HD03.
H.
Hey, Flash, want to hear a joke?
No!
Hello and welcome. You may wonder, why are we going to be talking about sloths? And I would say sloths fall into the category of unfortunate connections because of the slowness in which they move for biology reasons. They are now being compared to people being lazy. So people get to be called a sloth when they're being lazy. It is one of the 7 deadly sins, being a sloth, and so it's so unfortunate. There are positive things about being a sloth. They have been given a bad rap, just like snakes. So when you're being called a snake, it's not a good thing. When you're being called a sloth, it's not a good thing. So we're going to change that. We're going to be called a sloth, but for a good reason. You might have noticed that I have a little guy back here. Sassafras is our mascot, and there is a reason why I actually picked a sloth. It's kind of like a weird kind of turn of events, if you will. And it all started with a book that I found in a store. I was in a store and I found a book. I know, it's kind of weird now. It is called A Sloth's Guide to Mindfulness by Ton Mak. When I was looking for content that we could look at in the future, mindfulness, of course, came up because mindfulness is very big when it comes to stopping and thinking about, oh, actually, no. I've not explored too much into mindfulness. I've read the book here, and that is about it. I picked up the book because it was a very nice, laid out, simplistic look at mindfulness for somebody who needs a simplistic way to look at it. And it also had this very cute sloth as the main subject. And so I thought, oh, a sloth, we want to take things very slow when it comes to understanding ourselves. Perfect. Boom. There is a connection right there. But then when I was looking more into sloths, because I started getting more interested in as far as the biological creature, and I found some more interesting ways and connections that we have to the sloth. Sloths happen to be very similar to cows. So we know that cows have multiple stomachs in order to digest food. And sloths are the same way. So that means they have multiple chambers to digest food. And that's why they're so slow, because their body is kind of forcing them to be slow biologically. So their metabolic rate is super, super low. But if you think about this now figuratively, then this is what we want to do. We want to be slowly digesting these topics. And so it might be the case where we look at some of these things multiple times, but with different lenses. We're looking at fear, but it might be looking at it in this way or in that way, and kind of looking at it in all these different angles in order to fully digest what these fears are, what these pains are, whatever the emotion or feeling is that we're feeling. And because in the past we weren't doing this, we were kind of just quickly going through life and not taking the time. And the poor sloths, they're not lazy. They're just going through life slowly. And that is another thing actually that we can connect to the sloth. We move through life way too fast. We're just quickly going here, going there, going everywhere in our minds, literally in the streets, in whatever, and not stopping to really. And I think that is why it is perfect. This book is about the Sloth's Guide to Mindfulness, because that's what we need to practice. Being slow when it comes to many things. Not quickly making decisions, not quickly jumping into this or that, not quickly ignoring certain things that we need to actually take time to think about. And so that is why we are like a sloth. For him, it takes a whole month to digest one leaf. We're going to take a whole lifetime to understand everything. So interesting connection. Every time I look at him, I am reminded to be slow. And I am glad that we can now put a positive spin on the sloths. They are continually working on, chewing on, digesting something. And that's what I need to do too. Who would have thought all these things about sloths that are applicable to us?
If there's one thing you know about sloths, it's that they're, well, slow. But that doesn't mean they're boring. In fact, sloths are one of the most extreme animals on the planet. And not just because they poop only once a week.
Well, that is what we have for this week. A look at sloths and a look at Sassafras, our mascot, and how we should be like a sloth when it comes to feelings and emotions. And we hope that you join us next time when we look at something different. And with that, we say goodbye. You can't see my eyebrows. They are moving up and down. Oh, it's my entire bangs are moving up and down. This is like the tap your head, rub your belly thing. I'm sorry. I'm having problems. Get in frame.